Hi, and welcome back to our series where we are interviewing local filmmakers here in Southern Ontario. Today, we're interviewing Mark Anthony Ramitt, a filmmaker based here in Waterloo. Mark, how's it going?
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks for having me here. This is exciting.
Thank you for coming on our show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into filmmaking?
Okay, yeah, it's kind of, I guess, the truncated version of it. I just been enamored with, art to begin with. Like at a very young age, I like to freehand draw, and I knew it at an early age. Maybe it's kind of because I'm left-handed, I don't know. That part of my brain that thinks artistically. I knew that the visual medium, in whatever capacity it was going to be eventually in my life, I was going to be working in that capacity. After high school, I decided to. Actually, I initially wanted to go into animation because animation was just where it was for me growing up, watching TV, all those Saturday morning cartoons, and just being. And then Walt Disney too was a great inspiration for me. All those the feature films. He was just a pioneer, a visionary in the art of animation, and I just thought that would be a great way for me to explore, my natural abilities and skills. But then, Sheridan was going to be the go-to place for me. But then I just didn't have the portfolio. I couldn't collect a portfolio for admissions, and so I just thought, I'd like to do something that's more almost like immediate in a way. So the live action is the motion pictures is where I felt that I could really grow and train. So I went into film and TV production at Humber College, and that was an amazing program. And after that, I just learned the craft of filmmaking, starting in the post-production as a assistant editor. And from there, I just grew. I just wanted to kind of elevate my abilities because I knew that it was all good and well. I was working on other people's productions, and they were amazing. These were independent narrative features at the time in the indie scene in Toronto. Having like a gig at the Canadian Film Centre, the Norman Jewison Centre, which was amazing experience. But it just wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't really satisfying my soul and my abilities. So I just figured, let me take a handle at writing and directing my own, because it was just amazing that I could just watch these films, whether they be in cinemas or on TV, like TV shows as well, that were just created from like the page. Like writing is where I actually self-trained myself to become a writer. I just kind of pivoted from the post-production, working at the end of a production. In the post-production, figured like I want to start from the beginning, where it all begins, and which is the script stage. And so I just trained myself and self-taught myself, read scripts, watched countless movies, and compared, facsimile scripts to the final films. And I just wanted to find out the structure of a film. And obviously the standard, the high standard, the golden standard is right. Hollywood, right? So that was what I watched continuously. There were some international films too that really struck me really well, like Francois Truffaut, for that French wave, that new wave era that happened. Akira Kurosawa, the Japanese master filmmaker. All of those films. I just wanted to find out what really captures like a cinematic kind of a film from beginning to end. And Kurosawa, he was the one that said that for anybody who wants to emerge as a filmmaker, to create your own films from beginning to end, is write them yourselves. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow in a way, because a lot of people don't take the time to do that. Not saying a lot, but I mean, some emerging filmmakers, they see the end product, right? They see that polished end product, but that is years and maybe even decades of people in the industry, skilled people, not just a director or a producer, but all the craftspeople involved. That is decades of what happens, and seeing that finished product, it's thrilling, yes, and it's exciting, but yeah, you've got to start somewhere, and all those filmmakers that are now kind of name recognized filmmakers, household names, they started obviously entry level as well. For me, I had to kind of rethink my creative process, and I had to write those scripts, and then I had the vision was so clear to me that I had to direct them myself, and that's what I did over the course of 7 years. I created the eight films to date, and I wanted to really grow first as a script writer, because that is something that you need to know the structure of film, and you need to know the language of film on the page before you kind of visualize it with a camera and a crew of actors as well. So it was really important that I really saw that progression for me from writing, then to directing, and now I'm kind of back in the editing room. This is kind of full circle, because this last film that I created, being released in 2024, is I edited that myself, the main editor, and I haven't done that in a long time. I've just hired a lot of skilled editors or people that had their own equipment and software to complete my projects.
You put a lot of emphasis on script writing and writing your own stories. So I just want to pick your brain about the kind of stories you're trying to tell in your film, some of the universal themes you're trying to hit.
Well, first and foremost, my go-to genre is drama. But really, that's the overlying genre that I like to deal in. But basically, any genre or any kind of film that you watch, whether it be like a thriller or a sci-fi or even horror, there's drama inherent in all of those scripts and all of those final films. Drama being between the characters.
Right.
So you have to, for me, I had to make sure I had characters that were really well drawn out and three-dimensional, that are relatable with themes and subjects, or first and foremost with the characters that are relatable. I try to touch on human subjects such as loneliness, isolation, very these themes that are empathetic, like so an audience can really relate to it and really kind of draw it into these characters, this world that I've created for the story with these characters. Universal themes, yeah. Those are kind of my go-to themes. Like a lot of the films that I've created in my body of work deal with the protagonist as a lonely, kind of isolated, even kind of struggling with a handicap. And I made it physical because it's cinematic. I just wanted to be, I can't really internalize something psychological. I need like a better arena to internalize like a psychological kind of a character. So I need like a feature to make it really work. So within like a 5 or 10 minute or a 20-minute film, you have to kind of truncate it. You have to make sure you can hit those kind of visual points. So I make a lot of my characters with handicaps, whether they be in a wheelchair, whether they have a disfigurement on their face. And that really externalizes what they're going through internally, which is a lot of this, sometimes discrimination, and that brings on their isolation, and it brings on their loneliness, and the lack of connection with other human beings, or within my stories, with the fellow characters within their within the film, within the drama. So I don't know if I answered the question.
You did. Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
In your opinion, who is the best character that's been created for the big screen and from any genre?
That's a tough one, because there's quite a bit of them. And I've got to start by saying that a lot of the characters that me as an audience member, just me as a viewer and audience member, have gotten the media attention. There's probably a lot of art house indie films that have great drawn out characters that I haven't been able to watch because they haven't gotten the media attention. They haven't been block booked in cinemas because Hollywood's got the monopoly on cinemas. And even to a certain extent, the broadcasters, well, now it's streaming, Netflix has the monopoly on what gets shown. But the characters that I was drawn to specifically growing up, and this is kind of maybe goes against what I've been talking about. Not really, but it's in the science fiction fantasy kind of genre. So, when Lucas created those characters like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, even Darth Vader, what really kind of elevated those stories was the human story. So I love the journey of Skywalker. Han Solo being a mercenary and being a smuggler. Those are kind of characters that people really haven't seen in that kind of arena, which is outer space or a science fiction in a different world, a different time. But it was the human story that was developing through them and their interactions that really latched on to me as a young boy growing up watching these films. Even like once again, this is probably a similar kind of theme going on here with me watching, even Harrison Ford take on the Indiana Jones character. I mean, I don't know nothing about archaeology. I'm not a, adventurer at all. So, but to see him go through all these, these different story arcs and trying to what Alfred Hitchcock, says is called it MacGuffin, trying to search for that goal, that ultimate goal and battling all the baddies and the Nazis and all that. I mean, everybody can relate to, the good and bad. And then they can relate to the way the character is portrayed through the actor on a human level, whether that be, they're very vulnerable. I just love that vulnerability in these characters. And once again, it goes back to how it's written. It's got to be written on that page before it's on that stage. And it's presented to an audience that will invest in that character.
Yeah.
During the duration of that film.
So in your opinion, where is that fine line on to make a good movie? You need your character to be relatable, but you also need a good story. So where is that fine line in your opinion?
It's kind of hit and miss, I mean, yeah, my films have been kind of trial and error when it comes to writing those human stories, because I do focus on the characters first and foremost, and then I populate it in a genre or in a setting that I can see them develop. But I think it's really key for filmmakers who are writing and directing, but even it doesn't matter. I mean, first and foremost, you have to make sure you have like a three-dimensional character who not only that people can relate to, but have like a goal or a struggle, or something that really propels that story forward. It can be an external goal, it can be an internal one for that character, but you need to know that. I mean, the filmmaker needs to know all of that.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be. You can't just kind of pick up. You can't just say, okay, let's get some actors together and let's shoot something, let's shoot a scene, without it being really well thought out, without a story arc, without a character arc, and without a goal. I mean, for me, I like to know what my ending is. I usually write my endings first of the story before I actually kind of sit down and write the film, because then I know what I'm working towards. So that is my goal as the creative writer. And then I know what the character is up against and what he has to achieve over the course of the film. Whether that be a 10, 15, or 20-minute film, you have to know that final goal of that character. Right. Because you want that kind of impact, at the end. Otherwise, it could be a little bit of a scratch, head scratcher, for an audience, watching these. What was that really saying? What was that all about?
Right. Let's switch gears for a second, Mark. I want to talk a little bit more about your own portfolio. What's the film that's playing on the screen here?
Yeah, so this was in 2022, a film called AI Altruistic Individuals. It's a play on that acronym. It was something that was, I didn't realize that the Hospice of Waterloo was holding an annual filmmaking contest, a short film making contest within the region for local Waterloo region filmmakers only to apply for. And it had to deal with the subject matter of, in a positive way, of death and dying or grief. And I just figured, drama was my go-to genre at the time, right? And this was, I think, my 5th or 6th film at the time that I made. And I didn't come about it until after the fact, after the first season of that competition had come and gone. And so I said, okay, I've got to create this because this is something that I can add to my portfolio. I can just start, writing something. But I didn't realize that the parameters, their conditions were a little limited as far as at the time, the judges and the initiators at the hospice wanted only a 3-minute version outside of the credits. And so I said, no, that's really limiting, but I think I can probably do it. And so it just kind of, it just helped stretch my imagination and challenge me. It was just a story, a simple story. The human story, once again, is what elevates this to the forefront. Of a caretaker taking care of his wife or his partner who's ill, and really that's where the altruistic kind of wording comes into play. Is just this character here is taking care of his partner, but at the same time, it's being reciprocated with the other character, the female character that he's taking care of. And because she's an AI programmer, she does these upgrades and to the home in a unique way. I really wanted to bring in the technology too of our world as we know it now, even though right now we don't have an eye-door scanner that will open up our home. I was just forward thinking that way. I just thought, oh, this is a different element that I can apply to a story, and that's unique. I wanted a unique perspective, and that's the thing. I try to find a unique perspective to each of my stories with the storyline, and then the character, and populate the characters within that story. And so, thankfully, I was able to create this with a minimal crew. Entered it in the competition, and I didn't know who my fellow filmmakers were entering at the second season. But yeah, it was awarded the first place, which was, I've never been at the top of the podium.
Congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you. And the Grand River Film Festival, who was participating with Hospice to run this short film competition, was able to screen it to a live audience after the pandemic had happened and passed at the Apollo Cinema in downtown Kitchener, which was a great venue for that. So seeing it on a big screen with an audience, a receptive audience, was the reward. That was the reward. I didn't care for the first place win. I just thankful that it got into viewers' eyes and just to see their reaction.
Speaking on audience and the impact you wanted to make, the You Only Die Once contest, it was supposed to be about shedding a light on death in a positive way, right?
Exactly.
Do you feel your film accomplished that really well?
I think it did. I mean, here's the thing. This is a subject matter that was a stretch for me in the sense that I thankfully, personally, I haven't had any deaths in my immediate family members at the moment. I mean, extended for sure, whether that be cousins or relatives. But it didn't hit home to me as far as like what people actually go through with the death of a loved one that they've had, a life with. I really wanted to. I really wanted the technology part of it with the upgrades, just people taking care of each other. That's really the element that I really wanted to bring as a filmmaker, as a writer, and I hope I achieved that. Because it was only 3 minutes long, I don't know if the characters were developed. Obviously, you can't really develop characters. You don't know their backgrounds. You don't know what they're going through mentally or all that. So for the time limit I had, I was happy with the final presentation. Yeah.
I watched it and I thought it was very well done, Mark.
Thank you very much. Thanks for saying that.
So I want to speak more about the Grand River Film Festival itself and the Yodo Film Contest. In your opinion, why are local film festivals like the Grand River Film Festival and local contests, why are those so important to a community?
Well, so the community, of people, like we all have to share, the city that we live in. We have to kind of live with neighbors. We have, in a communal sense, and a very courteous and we share. First of all, we share not only the city, but we share all the elements that in the city, the roads and whatnot. I think to bring our community together, I think the art scene is really important. It's really crucial because we have so many craftspeople within our region, within our community, our population, whether that be not just in film, but whether that be like handcraft artisans doing whatever pottery or painting or other mediums, bringing an audience together. And, growing up and everybody worldwide, they just love going to the movies. They love watching films, something that would either take them out of their stress or their daily life or their mundane or banal life at the time. And so they just love watching those films and in a room full of strangers in a cinema. And I just love the way that the Grand River Film Festival, I believe they are in their 16th season upcoming in 2024. I could be wrong. Anyways, I love that they're the forerunners, the premier film festival here in our region of Waterloo. And that it was implemented for local audiences and local artists as well. Because over the years, as I've grown up in this region and made my home here and bought my first property here, I've noticed the growth in filmmakers and within the region, in front of and behind the camera. And I just know that it's just a great way to collect those people together, build that community, build them up, and maybe eventually work together. But also bringing audiences too who are appreciative, who love that independent scene and filmmakers, and support them that way. I just love that aspect about film festivals.
And changing our view from a local lens to something a little more global. Why is filmmaking and storytelling in general, why is that so important to us as a human race, as a species?
I mean, that once again, for me, this is a common theme here. It's that human story. That human condition. These are, a lot of films that are watched and stand the test of time have these characters that people can relate to, can empathize with, and worldwide. Doesn't matter what culture or what language, and it's important to see. I think it's also important to see other cultures, other people, how they relate to within their immediate surroundings, whether that be in different regions or within their family units and different cultures. Opening that up to another part of the world, to another audience, to see that. I just love the way film shows the commonality in humans. I mean, we I think we've all been created equal, and we all have the same kind of emotional makeup and even psychological makeup. So we can all relate to each other in one sense or another. And to see those stories brought to film, a scripted film, and relate to those characters, even though it might be a fantastic story or a genre that these characters are populating. It really kind of resonates, with audiences worldwide, and no wonder, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, film worldwide, and now streaming services, and everything can be, watched in truncated versions or short form on social media now, which is 24/7. So I guess people just love to see what other people are doing, and that just really brings us all together. Once again, we might have a lot of differences, but I mean, the commonalities and what we share as a human race, I think it's really important for the longevity of the race.
Mm-hmm. Storytelling is just in our nature, basically.
Exactly, yeah, storytelling.
Before we wind down, why don't you tell us what other films and what other goals you have in the industry that you want to accomplish before you retire?
Well, I don't see myself retiring. I'm going to work as long as I can, as long as I physically can. So I'm just developing my first feature film, and I want to, make that my directorial debut. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely an accomplishment. That takes a little while just to get the money and all that. But also, I just want to be a creator, a content creator, I guess you can call it. Doesn't have to be a director. I just want to keep writing material that producers, production companies, the industry I have to get unionized to get this, or be with a guild, whether that be a writers guild or a directors guild. That will take me on to write those stories that audiences can resonate with, and audiences they'll have an audience for our target audience. I really want to accomplish becoming a writer, and the way to develop that, I find, and this is kind of a bit of a pivot, is being in a writer's room. I love to be on like a scripted series, where I'm in a room full of writers, and we're just brainstorming and throwing ideas for each episode of a series that's been greenlit, and that has a broadcaster or streaming service behind it. And really also too, not only that, I really want to be making a living at this. Right now, I'm not. It's all kind of gigs here and there, wherever I can pick it up. Mm-hmm. Still making a name for myself and still validating myself within the industry. But I really want that opportunity where I'm finally can say that, yeah, I've made it, in the sense that the success that I've attained is that I'm getting paid for doing what I love to do. Right. And for what people, producers, production companies, or executives want me to do. They're paying me to do this. That's like a dream come true for me.
I've got my fingers crossed for you, Mark. On a final note, what advice would you give to other local filmmakers that are just up and coming, try to break into the industry right now?
Yeah, so first and foremost, there's a few things here, and so I might be rambling on a little bit, so hopefully I'm not going to... Anyways, make sure, when somebody's interested in a certain area or industry, what I tend to notice, and this is just from hindsight and from my experiences, yeah, for sure, we always see the end product of a film, and it's so flashy and it's so polished, and that really inspires us. But we don't know the journey that those creators took to get to that end product. So when an emerging filmmaker or somebody who's so keen on getting into making films or what have you, or TVs or whatever, TV shows, make sure that you kind of try to get a grasp of the journey that it takes to get to that end result. And then also make sure you specialize in something that you want. There's so many avenues, there's so many different aspects of creating a product, whether that be TV show or film. So specialize in something that you really think that really is within your character, like within your skill set. So for me, I just knew that I didn't know I was going to be a writer. I didn't know I was going to be a director either. I just knew that I had a vision. So, these emerging filmmakers, make sure like you select that specific area and then work at it. I mean, keep working at it. Mm-hmm. And, through a lot of trial and error, whatever you want to do with that, to make it happen. And then you'll know soon enough. I mean, after a few productions, that if that's your forte or not, if that's your specialty or not, you'll quickly know. Mm-hmm. And then also too, and this is a tough one too for people to especially emerging filmmakers to put a kind of grasp or get their heads around, is understand the business side of it. Because not only is the creative side of making films, it's enjoyable, it's pleasurable. You definitely are in an element where you are making creative content, maybe for yourself initially, but then eventually for our target audience. But know that the business side of it is, I mean, you need to know how to market yourself. You need to know what promoting it, what it takes to get a distribution of your films. And not everything is theatrical. It's that, I mean, now with the advent of the internet, everything's social media now. So a lot of short form content, whether that be TikTok or YouTube, and then all these streamers coming up. So know, well, where do you want to go eventually with this? Like, what's the end product? You need to have like an entrepreneurial skill set. Like, it's almost like that spirit. You need to be an entrepreneur. You have to kind of take the bull by the horns, and you have to know if you want this, if you want it bad enough, you've got to kind of master everything, every kind of stage, every kind of process that goes, not just in creating and then pre-production, but production, and then in the final stages, you have to have that plan, that marketing plan, and that kind of that business side of it that you have to embrace. It's, people don't really want to face it. I mean, not that they don't, but it's just they seem to put it aside and think that it'll just happen eventually. It doesn't. You don't get discovered just by having it sit somewhere like on your laptop, and you have to really get it out there for people to know that you want to be an up and coming filmmaker or not, or you want to work in the industry. You got to prove yourself.
Right.
So you got to build up your body of work, and so you have to know how to navigate not only industry amongst other competitive filmmakers, but also how to navigate it in a business aspect as well.
Yes. Well, Mark, I just want to say thank you again for coming on to our show. It's been very educational with you. Thank you again for your insights into the industry of filmmaking.
My pleasure. Uh-huh. Great, Jack. Great for you to have me here.
Thank you. And for CCDTV, I'm Bruce De La Cruz.
I didn't mind the routine. There is security, comfort, and predictability. It's assuring and even affirming. I know there is a lot more I could have. We should have done together. Realizing now that possibly I'm the one who took life for granted. Fitting then that it's come to this, and in this. No, turning out this way.
Ashley, identify caller.
Elena is calling.
Answer call. Hey, hello. Oh, I'm missing too many days while you're calling with my day's homework teacher. No, I'm not counting down my compassionate days. It's not my days that are numbered here, and I'm talking about. So I have to go now. I appreciate the call, Lena. Ashley, and call. Chrissy, is everything okay?
Yeah? Emptying out my business.
What dropped?
Batman. It's all under control now.
Okay, good. Do you need help getting into?
I'm doing good on my own, so far.
I'll be in the bedroom. Hon, I'm taking your food tray. Be up in a few after cleaning it.
Move closer to me. What is the time, Ashley?
Current time is 1300 hours.
What's the room temperature, Ashley?
26 degrees Celsius.
I should have peed before this. Never thought to compile a bucket list. Been content with seeing things differently every day, even in the mundane. Though some experiences are meant to be seen, felt outside of one's confines and comfort zone.
Answer call. Hello? Hey, Doc. Yes, I'm alone. So, what's the good news then? Wait, what do you mean it's not gonna help? Like, I just got a refill today. Like, what? They don't work anymore? Well, just tell me she's going up the list then. No, I don't want to know that. Like, we'll make best use of our time, like when we've had together. Okay? End call.
Though life has a way of letting you know that there are no guarantees, what I've come to realize is the constants, natural or otherwise. These days, I've grown accustomed to dwell on the certainties, the positive ones that make up our existence.
Welcome home, Harrison.
Welcome home, Harrison. Happy birthday.
Chrissy? Chrissy?
That's a much quicker way for me to go.
What are you doing here? Why aren't you...
I'll be permanently horizontal soon. Way too many things to do and enjoy right now. Any updates for me today?
It's just same old, same old.
Room temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius.
I took the scenic route home today.
Explains why it's dark outside already.
Didn't plan on it, it just happened, but I thought of you and I took these photos. Pretty, isn't it? But anyways, it was just unexpected, but it made me realize something, that instead of living vicariously, it'll be good for you. Like good for us to get out of here and do something different, something new out of this home. Like, mind you, everything will be planned, but it'll break routine.
I'm gonna have to be heavily medicated to see the great outdoors. I don't think I would enjoy it as much. Today was a especially brutal one for me.
This will be good for your mental health. You need to take care of that too.
I have to finish this update first. When you were thinking?
Tomorrow.
I hope it's not gonna be overcast.
There. Not too uncomfortable, I hope.
Don't. I had enough of that back inside. Let's do this in a moment.
Ashley, play Christina's favorite classical music. It's getting worse now, isn't it?
It's obvious. The meds don't seem to work anymore. And the prayers aren't. Can only help so much.
Chrissy, why don't we just reconsider just staying with some more professional care?
No. I prefer things this way. Living. Experiencing life, not merely surviving.
I'm glad we did this.
I could have given you more of me. Not sure
It's not too late.
anymore. You're talking about having a baby together.
Oh, well, we could freeze some of your eggs and still don't
No.
need to.
But there is the way I could create something from within me. Well, throughout those uncertain days, I'm certain of this. I've given my all to myself, our home, and to you. Love you.
Happy birthday, Harrison.
Nice one, Chrissy. What else has changed? Ashley, set room temperature to 26 degrees Celsius.
Room temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius in 20 minutes. And happy birthday to you.
Even better.